Hi, everyone. So, thank you. I guess that's the end of the short break. I am Peter Rowlett. I'm just a lecturer trying to do this stuff as well as we can. And this last session is on sort of approaches to making accessible notes. So we've had some wonderful sharing so far, but I'm afraid now it's up to me. So that's nerve-wracking. I'm going to start with a brief introduction, and then we have three speakers. So a few years ago, I guess I was sort of wanted to make my notes so that students could use them well. I guess I was aware that what I was doing was writing LaTeX code that turned into PDFs, and that was not okay. But you sort of years pass and you drift along and you think, oh, I really must do something about that at some point. And then I kind of got myself in gear trying to sort that out. Around that time, the university had put in a accessibility checker on the VLE, which tells you that this is good, this is not good, something like that. I mean, I think they're unreliable at best. But I wanted to be able to do things well, and we heard earlier that students are individuals, but there's some and that all needs are different sort of thing. But there is some basic core stuff to get right, as we heard earlier as well. So I wanted to keep using LaTeX really because that's what I was used to. I didn't really want to have to learn a new thing. I didn't, what have you. Selfish perhaps, but and I fairly quickly convinced myself that I could make LaTeX PDFs that would pass the university's new automated accessibility checker and yet not be properly accessible, right? So you could get a green tick on the thing, but that was not the point, right? So I want better than that, really. I'm thinking about people with screen readers, anticipating people with screen readers, even if we didn't actually have any who are using that, I don't know. But the other big thing, I think, is notes that will reflow, that will sort of format themselves on different size screens. And I'm particularly thinking of, students looking at notes on their phones and things like this, and bringing up a PDF is an awful way of experiencing that. So I was aware that MathJax on the web is a good way of doing it. We've heard a little about that earlier. It's clearer than images. It responds to your browser settings around size and color and things like that. It interfaces with your screen reader if you're using one. And things like that. Ideally, I wanted something that would organize my notes. I didn't really, if I could help it, I didn't want to be creating individual web pages based on LaTeX files that I then had to sort of write a menu for or something like that. So something that would organize the notes, something that would plug into the VLE. And that's sort of to set the scene, really. The end of the story is that I found something and I've been using it. But that's the point of this session, really, is kind of how do we actually do that? And I was obviously it'd be lovely if I could just do something that was brilliant and didn't need any extra work. But I was sort of aware that you are going to have to put in a little bit of something at least to get going or do some work on it. So I was sort of comfortable with the fact that I wasn't just going to just be able to flip a switch and suddenly everything was marvelous. There was going to be something that I'd have to get used to. So that's the spirit in which I hope you're going to take these next three talks. Sorts of focusing on the practicalities from people coming from slightly different approaches, slightly different points of view. I'd like, please listen and listen to the three and think about what might work for you. And in common with the sessions earlier, we'll have a little Q&A at the end. So please put plenty of questions in the chat to help me out with that last 10 minutes. So without further ado, I'm going to invite David to start.